live recording this right now. It is Tuesday, October 14th. Chase is here. BYU basketball is here. Season tips off. Preseason starts Saturday, October 18th. Chase, we're finally here for BYU basketball. This offseason went a lot faster than I thought it would.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Like, we're putting on those tweets, you know, Boscovich days,
Kozlowski days.
I mean, it is snuck up on us. Having the exhibition games help. You know, BYU hasn't really done stuff like that before. Being able to watch it and all that, it helps. Cuts off a couple weeks there, but I'm not complaining, man. It's here.
Oh, so happy it's finally here. So happy it's finally here. Let's do some housekeeping at the top of this. We've got a jam-packed show today, fellas. I mean, you're looking through you're going to be looking at the episode title and the description. We got a ton to talk about. Long show today. Let's get into it. First things first, housekeeping. So the Field of 68, the Kentucky pods no longer with them. They're looking to do more student pods with some of these. Obviously, Chase and I aren't students anymore or whatnot. Wanted to give a statement on that. We're going nowhere, Chase. We're going nowhere. We're still with the Field of 68. I'm working with the Field of 68. We're working on some other pods. Make sure to go subscribe. There's a new podcast. This will be released Tuesday night. So by Wednesday morning, go subscribe. We got a new show at the Field of 68 with Jamie Shaw, Joe Tipton. If you want to be in on all the recruiting news, go subscribe to that. It's going to be an awesome show. So go subscribe to that. That's a lot of stuff.
Yes.
We're going to be
produced by Carter. Produced by Carter, y'all. So y'all got to go tune in. See what he's doing over there. He's doing awesome stuff.
Yeah, we're producing the show over there, and yeah, a lot of exciting stuff. But we're going nowhere with the Field of 68. Church ball's here to stay. Chase, I mean, we're going nowhere, man.
We're going nowhere. Yeah, we're here to stay, and we were never going to miss this season. And what we got.
And hey, if we do go somewhere, we're not going anywhere. You'll still be able to find our podcast.
Yeah,
we'll be fine.
You'll see our faces.
All right, so that's it. Also, once again, we will be live after the Nebraska game. We'll be live. We'll be live on Twitter, and we'll be live on the Field of 68 Podcast Network YouTube channel. Go subscribe and go follow both of those if you want to get the notifications that we're live. We're going live. The second that buzzer sounds, boom, we're going to be live right there in your feed. Come hop in.
Yep.
We're going to talk about the game. We're going to break down everything we saw. You know the drill. If you were in last season, if you're new to the show, it's the best time. Come hang out with us. Also, we'll talk BYU Utah in there as well. We'll talk a little bit about it today, but very excited. Make sure to tune into that. Anything else before we get into the preview?
I just was going to say, like, for the guys that love to come in and chat with us and the gals, girls listen to this show too, Carter.
Yeah, we found that out.
Yeah. Consider trying out YouTube. The chat works a lot better on the platform. Twitter's glitches all the time. Sometimes we miss y'all. So consider giving YouTube a shot. We'll keep our eye on both of them. But I think it's a better place to go live even than Twitter. But if you like the convenience of your phone and all that, you know, we'll be on both.
And we'll be going live right after Villanova, BYU, UNC Carolina exhibition and everything. I think it might be a solo one, or we might have to get a special guest. Chase, you're going to be in the building for that one. Maybe we'll have to have you hopping on your phone for a second while you're leaving the building or something. But we'll figure that one out.
Yeah.
Also, we'll be going live. I'm going to some of the big games this year, Chase. Non-con. We'll be live from TD Garden in Boston, from UConn. Be live from Madison Square Garden with the game against Clemson. We got some big stuff in the works, Chase.
We do. Epic season calls for an epic season of potting, Carter. I mean, this is
Kansas. We might have to we're going to be doing road trips to Kansas.
Little road trip vlogs to Kansas, man.
I'm so excited. And this is just the preseason. We had the blue-white scrimmage. It wasn't broadcasted. I got my hands on a little bit of film from it. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's a reason we're not breaking it down, because they didn't show anything in that. It was kind of sloppy. A lot of dudes weren't playing in it. There's really not much to talk about from it, to be honest.
Yeah, which is kind of sad, also funny to say after last year's blue and white scrimmage.
They showed a lot in that scrimmage last year.
Yes, they did. And it was, I think it was more of a showcase, kind of just get the players in the jerseys, put up a few shots. It's a different season. It's a different vibe. It's being treated like they're a legit blue blood program. I know they're not there yet, but they have the prowess of one this season. And so it's a little bit more of showcasey. I mean, that's what this Nebraska game might be as well, Carter. We'll get into that. But the highlights are still fun. Seeing AJ on the court in a jersey knocking down fadeaways still got me going.
Yeah, it was still sick, but I'm excited to see it in a real game this Saturday, semi-real game this Saturday in an exhibition. And once again, let's just get right into this game. Once again, you guys, BYU fans, you got to understand this. You're going to be sitting there, your aunt, your uncle, your grandma, your grandpa is going to be like, what channel is this effing game on? And they're going to say effing because they're going to be pissed because they want to see this game. Big 10 Plus. You got to have some stupid subscription. It's dumb. It's silly. You're going to have to pay $13 to watch this game. Split the login with someone. Figure it out. I don't know. Big 10 Plus is where this game's going to be had at. It's in Lincoln, Nebraska. Chase, a little bit about Nebraska. Fred Hoiberg, shout out the Chicago Bulls and Iowa State. Head coach Fred Hoiberg. Dude, he's been there for a while now, and you just don't realize it. I feel like it was yesterday he was on the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, agree. And Nebraska's been a program that feels like it's been working and building towards something, and they always kind of see these setbacks. They never quite get it done. They still have yet to win an NCAA tournament game, Carter. Just a little lore about the Huskers down there. So they have things to look forward to, a lot to be working on. I think Hoiberg's a great coach, though, and I think he's always got something cooking, and this season will probably be no different.
Absolutely. They're picked to finish 14th in the Big Ten preseason media poll. We know how useless those things can be. College basketball crown winner, Chase.
They won the crown.
They've got
first
some
ever,
hardware.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, first ever crown, first
it's
ever title.
It's a sick-looking trophy.
So, yeah, shout out the crown.
Would you rather play in the crown or the NIT, Carter?
Tomato. Maybe the crown.
I mean, here's the thing. We don't need to know anything about that. We
hope not.
We don't care because we're going to the big one.
Nebraska loses their top scorer, Bryce Williams. He averaged 20 points a game last season. And after watching some interviews with Hoiberg, he said, won't be a lot of ISO this year, going to be a lot more movement. They don't necessarily have a go-to guy this season. All in all, Nebraska not supposed to be a tournament team, not supposed to be a great team this season. It's all going to be what we see out of BYU. I worry it could be a little sloppy out of the gates.
Yeah, look, it's the first time you're playing someone not wearing a practice jersey, and especially doing it together as a group. And so it's going to be a lot of figuring things out, trying different lineups. They're not even probably going to run they'll run maybe some shell sets. I doubt there's any legitimate plays that they ones that they love, at least, that they really want to whip out in the dog days of February when you're fighting for Big 12 standing contention. So you'll probably see a lot of mid-range jumpers from the guys. Probably a lot of ISO, maybe some pick and roll. It's not going to be super locked in basketball. Not to say that I don't think the guys will be locked in. I think they are excited to go out and play seriously. It's just this doesn't count for anything other than we just get to see the guys play someone else for the first time.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think you nailed it. It's going to be a lot of basic pick and rolls, basic ISOs, get guys' feet wet. We also don't know who's fully playing yet. Like, if we don't get to see Rob Wright on Saturday, that also kind of hinders what I think about this BYU team afterwards and kind of puts a damper on, okay, what can we kind of expect from them and how much can we take away from that game?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to not see a single starter in the second half. It's just kind of one of those things where I think they take it seriously. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think BYU is going there just to lollygag and mess around, but you also got to take it for what it is, which is a total grain of salt. It's an exhibition game. It's a chance to show some fans, play on, I wouldn't call it national TV, but play on something that can be broadcasted. But at the same time, no injuries, nothing too fancy. Don't show anything too telling, and just go out and play.
Yeah, and also, like, in a preseason game like this, where once again it doesn't matter, I want to see these different lineups. I want to see, Xavion running with, Nate Pickens. I want to see the backups of guys who aren't going to play as much, like maybe like a Brody Kozlowski get more burn and stuff like that. Like, I want to see everybody play in this game. And see
that's a really good point. It's a really good point because I think we know the starting five. I think that's locked in, barring any big setbacks or injuries or whatever. So I want to see. I mean, if Rob Wright doesn't play, all right, let's see what Nate Pickens has. I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. And Dominic Diamande, like let's get him a bunch of minutes to see exactly who he is, and we're not going to see exactly who anyone is. Again, it's a shell of a game here, but it's a really good point, Carter, because this is another deep team, and it was the staple of last year with Kevin Young and the way that he went to his bench. This team might even be deeper, and the talent that he'll have riding the pine at any given moment is going to be insane. So why not? Let's see these guys go out there, play against someone that, again, these guys have been playing against the same jersey for 4 months. So it's a great opportunity to see someone else.
It would be sick if this game was in Provo and the same day with everything going on with, you got the game day shows coming in for the BYU Utah game, and then you go right into the Marriott Center, get like a 1 o'clock Mountain Time tip-off preseason game, get hyped up from that, and then you swing on over to Lavelle Edwards and watch BYU Utah. Could have been sick, but I'm just happy. We don't live in Utah anymore, so it's going to be the same thing for us.
Yeah, you want to split some Big Ten plus?
Yeah, split some Big Ten plus. Gosh, I'm so mad. I'm going to be filling out my card. Like, I'm going to be sitting there typing my card info. My wife's going to be like, what are you buying? I'm like, Big Ten freaking plus. I'm pissed off.
Look, Carter, Iowa volleyball is having a great season. We could get a lot of value out of the subscription, man.
Yeah, I got
Minnesota swim and dive.
No, Rutgers swim and dive. We're Rutgers swim and dive fans.
Right. Scarlet Knights all the way. Scarlet Knights in the water.
Gosh, Chase. That's number one. Oh, wait, do we get to switch our fandom from Rutgers to Minnesota?
The swim and dive team, I'll give you that. Yeah, I think you can.
No, I'm sticking with my guys and gals from Rutgers.
I'm more of a players kind of guy. I like to follow the stars. I'm not really. I don't want to tie myself down to a Big Ten team.
I love Rutgers swim and dive. Anyhow, yeah, but anything from this game, is there anybody you're single-handedly looking at saying like, okay, I want to see something out of you in this game? Obviously, AJ's, the attention's going to be on him, but, if AJ comes out there and shoots 3 of 9 and doesn't really show, like, I'm not going to think any differently.
Yeah, I think the big one for me is probably Moo Davis. I want to see. People have been talking about him defensively, right? And kind of the standout he's been in camp a little bit. I want to see how legit that is. Because one thing that you can do in these shell games, you don't want to show anything offensively. Defensively, it's, man-to-man is man-to-man. Like, maybe they'll whip out a zone, but you can show whatever you want. And so, these one-on-one matches where there's probably going to be a decent amount of ISO. We don't know exactly what Nebraska's going to run. Like you said, they don't actually have an ISO guy anymore. At least they lost their biggest one, so maybe that won't happen. But seeing the rotations, right, and seeing how these guys bring help side, that's something that you can really show everything. So defensive end, defensively, want to see what Moo Davis can do. And also on the offensive end, the guy can score. The biggest thing, though, is I want to see the big three. I think we can start referring to them as that: Rob Wright, Richie Saunders, and AJ Devonsta. And not to take away from an extremely talented starting five and the rest of the team. But those are kind of the big 3 guys, especially offensively. I just would love to see maybe 2 minutes of some awesome, like, those 3 guys gelling, chemistry on the court, finding open shots for each other. Because it's going to be there with all the talent that is going to be on the court. But with one ball, right, it's finding the right guy. There's going to be someone open if they run it right. And I just want to see just a sneak peek. All I need is a little teaser, Carter, of those 3 guys doing something together and showing the on-court chemistry that is going to be needed if they want to have a deep run. I think it'll be there. I just would love to get a little bit of a taste.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is I want to see how this chemistry is, especially if like Rob Wright's playing. I want to see the pace. I want to see how fast this team's going to play, because if we're going to play fast and everything like that, I'm excited to see that. But you're right. It's the chemistry. How do these guys gel and everything like that? Is everybody unselfish on the court together and everything? And I think you nailed it. I want to just see, you want to see that like a 90-second stretch of like an 8-0 run between those 3 guys working together. That's yes. Critical. I do want to see that. The other thing is I want to see Dominic Diamande. I think he's a major wild card with this team. Let's say, knock on wood, there's an injury to this team. He's a guy that's going to have to come in and fill some roles with this team.
Yeah, we've kind of given him the Moet Mag tag a little bit. I think they're different players. I also don't know a lot about him, right? He didn't play college ball last year. obviously redshirted and everything. And so it's been a while since he's seen action on a court. And so I'm super excited from all that we've heard. One of the most athletic guys to ever come through Provo. And I'm also very, very excited for that. I think Carter, they're going to run stuff. Like, you're going to see Kevin Young calling some stuff out. So when we say, like, I don't think it's going to be like, Lifetime Fitness at 3 p.m. Exactly.
At least I hope not. If I'm
not.
paying for Big Ten Plus, I better get, I better get my money's worth.
$15. But I also think there will be opportunities. And sometimes that's the best way to see the chemistry, right? When there is no play called. Like, how do these guys work together and like, all right, just run it. And I don't know if there's going to be a lot of that, but there will be more opportunities for it in a setting like this for sure.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Anything else from the Nebraska game you want to touch on?
I just know we're going to be overreacting just because it's the first time we've seen anything. And I'm ready for it. I don't even care. I'm so ready to see it.
I'm also curious to see Xavion, his minutes, and see how he handles physicality. You're going against him. You're not going against super athletic guys with Nebraska's bigs, but I'm curious to see how he handles college basketball physicality. I mean, you've been going up against Kaba all summer. I assume you're fairly accustomed to what it's going to be in the Big 12 and Power 5 basketball. So curious to see that note as well.
And
Chase,
sorry, Carter. One last note. The Nebraska's depth is in their front court. They got getting back a guy who was out all last season, and then they also signed 7'1" guy from overseas who they're pretty high on. So the centers, especially in this game, might be the matchup to watch. Last little note on there. We did our research, folks.
You want to do quick predictions? We haven't done we got to do a prediction for this one.
Oh man.
I'm going to do outside the box because you got to go outside the box on a first exhibition. Weird lineups are going to be played. I think Dawson Baker has like 18 points in this one. And I think BYU wins like 85-72. And Dawson Baker weirdly has a good game.
All right. I'll go. Not necessarily player of the game. I think our guy Brody Kozlowski cans 3 threes. I think Morus matches him with another 3 threes. But I think it's still low scoring because it's exhibition, man.
But some of these exhibitions get high scoring too, though. Or some
true.
of them are just pure domination. I mean, if you remember like Duke, Arizona State last year, Bobby Hurley, man, he was like, "Can I just stay in Durham? I'll just join the Duke coaching staff."
I'm gonna go BYU runs away with it 73-58.
Some defense.
I think the defense shines.
Some Big Ten football.
Nebraska's lost a scorer, man. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
We'll see.
I love it. Let's get into some season predictions time. It's been long enough. We've waited long enough for this show. Chase, we're gonna go through, give our season picks. We're gonna say last season we waited until after the blue-white scrimmage. And we sat there and we looked at each other at the Marriott Center media room and go, dude, this is a second weekend team. This is a second weekend team. This is different and everything. And at points of last season, looking at, maybe the game at Utah, we looked at each other and go, oh, this is not maybe we were a little premature on our predictions. We ended up getting proven right. We gotta nail it again, Chase.
We do. The pressure's on. I spent a long time thinking about it. So what should we start with? You want to go non-con first? You want to just go the whole record?
Let's go non-con. So we have 13 games in the non-con, correct? I hope I did this right and counted correctly.
You're correct. Yeah,
okay.
You're correct, buddy. I went 12-1. I'm sorry to disappoint. I think there's a loss somewhere in there. I wasn't going to pinpoint down exactly. Look, playing UConn and Boston is going to be tricky. Obviously, that Wisconsin game, you got to go to Florida, take on Miami, either Dayton or Georgetown. Those Thanksgiving tournaments can always get a little frisky. I think there's a loss somewhere in there. I'm not pinpointing it down exactly, but I just think one happens. One slip up. That's all.
I agree. I had 12-1 as well. Not the biggest Dan Hurley fan, not the biggest UConn guy over here. So most people would normally think, oh, you're picking UConn over BYU. I think things get weird against Miami in that Thanksgiving tournament. I think that's when, everything's riding high. They're undefeated at that point. If BYU is undefeated going into the Terry's Chocolate ESPN Events Invitational Tournament on Thanksgiving, they're probably 1 or 2 in the country at that point. Most likely, probably number 1. I could see a weird slip up with that Miami game. Jay Lucas has got a good team down there in Miami. They don't have to travel. BYU's having to travel cross country during the holidays. Yeah. I weirdly think that's the random loss, but overall, I think they go 12-1 in non-con as well.
Yeah, and those Thanksgiving tournaments are always just a little weird. It's a little weird. It's a little AAU-ish. So it's, we see these teams lose in those random games all the time. But, 12 I still think they, for the most part, dominate. I think they have an awesome non-con.
I do too. I think 12-1's right. Because also some of these games where it's like, okay, Clemson, very well-coached team, not crazy talented this year, definitely a lot less talent than last year's Clemson team. BYU should be favored in that game by like 8-9 points for what we think of each team right now. And so, but that is a big game. You could lose in theory. I think 12-1's right on.
Yeah, I think another part about the non-con that they haven't had in a long time at BYU is the opportunity to pick up like super quality wins. Mm-hmm. And if you do slip up, it's not going to hurt. I think as long as you don't slip up against, Holy Cross or Delaware, so
I'm looking at you, Cal Baptist.
Like getting a good Villanova win, even, obviously UConn, Wisconsin, quad 1 opportunities here. Clemson will be a quad 1 because it's neutral court, depending on how their season goes, unless they go completely off the deep end. There's just really good opportunities to build the resume early, which I think we haven't seen, especially, a couple years ago, if you can remember the non-conference schedule, right? And the net rating, BYU was like number 1, and it was like awesome, but they also didn't play a single quad 1 game, and it was like, okay. This is more opportunity to see what they're play legit competition and also get legit resume building wins in October, which we haven't seen in a while. November, not in October, but
conference, 18 conference games. How many losses did you have in the conference?
I said only 3 losses in conference. 15-3.
I said 4. And I think I was being conservative.
Yeah, I was being pretty. I compared to some of the schedules from last season, and BYU only had 5 conference losses last season in the regular season. Then they lost, of course, Big 12 tournament. So I'm like, how much better is this team? Do I think this team is than last year's team? And I was like, I think they're potentially could be 2 wins better. I know it's a tall ask. I mean, it's going to be the toughest basketball conference in the country, I think. But I ended that high on this BYU team. They traveled well last season, and so picking up those big wins on the road is going to be the biggest thing to achieve a record like this. I also think they have some favorable scheduling, Carter. I think they get some of their toughest games at home. I think, they only have to play Houston once. I think there's just a path for them to get there.
I do too. I think so. Where my losses came, I had them splitting Arizona, and then I had them splitting Texas Tech. And then I was and then I think there's always going to be a weird one you lose in there, unless you're just the Houston Cougars and you just don't lose in the regular season somehow and you go 19-1 and you only lose 1 game. Cincinnati feels like a weird one. At Cincy, doing that weird East Coast road trip late into the season. You got a look-ahead spot against Texas Tech at home for freshman night this year with AJ. Like, I feel like that's a weird loss in there. And then I just threw a Houston or Iowa State loss in there. I was trying to be very conservative. And so I have this team going 26-5.
Yeah, and that would make me going – I think I might have counted wrong, but just 1 win over that. So 27-4. My prediction. You can't forget about this
right?
This Kansas game.
Did I count that right? Yeah, I counted that right. What?
You can't forget about this Kansas game either. I mean, they don't lose in that building. At least they usually don't. I know it's been a rough couple years for the Jayhawks. I know BYU knocked them off 2 years ago, but it's an immensely tough place to play. And you'll be coming off of a tough Arizona game. Again, I mean, they'll have like the entire week to prep for it, but game day will probably be there. Like it'll be a massive, probably primetime matchup there in Lawrence. So that's always tough.
Yeah. I'm not as worried about that one, which is crazy. I know Kansas fans would freak out when I say I just don't believe in this Kansas team that much this season. Yeah, it's Darren Peterson versus AJ DeBanso, 1 versus 2 probably in the NBA draft, but around Darren Peterson and around this Kansas team, yeah, you lose Hunter Dickinson, which I think is addition by subtraction, and you add a little bit more shooting, not enough in my opinion though. I'm not too big on the Jayhawks this year, and there's a reason they're 19th in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the college basketball world's knows that. I just know playing in Allen Fieldhouse is never easy.
And without Dallin Hall this year, shout out our guy. I saw Dallin in Charlotte for ACC Media Days. We talked for a little bit. What a guy! Love Dallin.
Love Dallin. He will be missed. Big time.
Yeah. I like that Virginia team this year. Ryan Odom's a good coach.
He is. But yeah, very good.
But besides the point. All right. Big 12 tournament. I don't think we really need to predict that. Like, who cares?
I said they reached the title game.
That's fair.
As a prediction.
Yeah. Okay. We can
basically BYU's gonna be awesome. That's my prediction.
Now this is where things get good, Chase. Where does BYU finish in the NCAA tournament as our predictions of October 14th?
All right, as of October 14th, I, Chase Rogers, predict BYU makes an Elite Eight run. I would have really loved to say Final Four, but man, that's freaking hard, to be one of the Final Four teams, and also in a tournament that is literally the craziest sports event and the most unpredictable sports event to happen in the entire world. But I think Elite Eight's pretty awesome too. Coming off of a Sweet 16 run, we know that Kim Young's a guy who can coach in the tournament. We know that this team is more talented than last year's team. So I'm predicting Elite Eight. They'll be a 1, 2, or 3 seed.
I think you're going. So. I thought you were going to come on here and say national title and all this.
Get out of here.
I have Final Four.
Do you?
I think they're going to Indianapolis.
So I'm being pessimistic a little bit.
I think they're going to Indianapolis. I think with this BYU team, there are some similarities to this BYU team as that Duke team of last year. We're coming into the year. I think BYU has the highest ceiling out of any team in the country. But when you have a super high ceiling, you do have a bit of a lower floor compared to teams like Houston, Purdue, Florida, UConn, and those other schools. But if AJ reaches what we think AJ is going to be, and the key here is, and I've said this 1,000 times on these podcasts, is Rob Wright. Rob Wright changes what this team becomes. They went to the Sweet 16 last year with Yegor Demon, and I love Yegor. Yegor is awesome at BYU, and he's going to be an awesome pro. But that's the thing. He's going to be an awesome pro. He fits the pro game more. Rob Wright fits college basketball perfectly. He is the quintessential college basketball point guard. That's what you need in March, and BYU kind of missed that at certain times. I mean, the Alabama games, throw it in the trash. They hit 1,000 threes and broke a record against BYU. So a little bit different, but you have to have that dynamic, big-time guard, and BYU has that. And on top of that, they have the talent around. I'm curious to see how this team works with chemistry and defense this year, if they're going to be elite defensively when it matters most. Now, with the pace they're likely going to play, they're probably going to give up more points than a Tony Bennett, Virginia, or Kelvin Sampson, Houston team. I think they've got all the pieces to make it happen. They're going to go to I think they're going to Indianapolis, Chase. I really do. And we're pessimistic about this stuff usually. My Final Four is Purdue, BYU, Kentucky, Louisville.
Wow. You ripped out all 4. I love it.
And you want to know how I'm not biased? Did I put Duke in there?
No, you did not, Carter. No, you did not.
I didn't put Duke in there. I think BYU is better than this Duke team this year, to be honest. But
wow.
I think that's my Final Four. I think BYU makes it to Indianapolis. I don't think they win the national title, but I think they make it to Indy.
And if they do, then we make it to Indy. Look, I don't want to be – I didn't really want to be pessimistic. I thought Elite Eight was being pretty sweet. Being one of the final 8 teams in this tournament, it's just so hard to predict, and you never know, right, who goes on a run. But
we were fine predicting second weekend last year after watching a scrimmage.
And we were freaking right. So
there we go.
I'm looking forward to being right. Hopefully you right this year. Hopefully they prove us wrong, and they over exceed. I mean, they have all there, Carter. It's all there.
You think so? You've got NBA talent on this team. You've got a point guard that can run the show, that can score and pass the ball, and he can facilitate the offense, run the tempo. And then you got the other piece of it is Richie Saunders, who's had success already in this tournament, and multiple guys on this team have had success in March Madness. And then also you got a front court of Keba Keita and Xavion, and then a bunch of different. Everybody's a 6'7", 6'8" wing that can kind of score the ball and also play defense.
Yeah. We haven't talked about Richie Saunders enough. I feel honestly a little bad.
Haven't.
Because of all the additions and how awesome the recruiting was. That dude's insane. He was unbelievable last season in conference play, and then especially in the postseason. He was masterful. I mean, BYU doesn't win probably 5 of those games. Probably more without him.
Way more.
The dude is unreal. I feel bad we don't get it. I'm going to start pushing Richie Saunders propaganda because he just doesn't get enough. He's absolutely incredible.
I think people will just be quickly reminded, be like, oh, yeah, this guy is awesome. Yeah, we talked about all the new additions and everything. And then we're going to see on Saturday against Nebraska and be like, oh, yeah, of course Richie Saunders is this good. And he's going to have way more open shots. Think about how many times defenses are going to collapse on AJ and he's going to be able to kick it out to Richie Saunders, or Rob Wright's slash into the paint, kick out to Richie. Like, the game's going to be so much more open for him this season. He should have a big, big year. I think he's going to be first team all Big 12.
I mean, I agree. It's perfect for him because Richie Saunders isn't a guy who plays on the ball anyway. He plays off ball. It's perfect.
And especially I felt like we didn't get to see as much of it last season because he had to be on the ball a lot more because they needed his scoring. But how good of a cutter he is, and what we saw when it was the Pope team with Ali Khalifa dumping it down to him every time he was cutting. I feel like we're going to see a lot more of that too.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And he can be on ball like when he needs to. And BYU's favorite play to close out games is the fake dribble handoff, and he ends up taking it to the basket. Won him the Arizona game. Obviously, there was a foul call there that not a lot of people like, but he hit the dang free throws and won the game. But man, he's just going to be awesome. This whole team, and Moo Davis, Keba Keita, don't get me salivating and fantasizing about things. This is a Stephen A. quote.
I'm not gonna lie, Chase. I'm gonna put the timestamps in on this episode, and people are gonna be like, season predictions, BYU Nebraska, Richie Saunders propaganda. I'm skipping ahead.
Skip ahead. Man.
I cannot wait for Saturday, dude. College basketball. I love the NFL. I love college football. I love the NBA. I love all this other stuff. College basketball, man, is just where it's at, and that's what I'm most excited for, and especially BYU basketball. That first night, a little inside church ball here for a minute. I'm going to be working the Field of 68 event. If you're in Rock Hill, South Carolina, if you're in Sioux Falls, go buy tickets right now to the Field of 68 opening day event. It's all day. Get there I'm going to be getting there at 6 a.m. We're going to be wrapping up stuff at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then we got BYU Nova at 9:30. I'm checking into the hotel. I'm going to get the biggest pizza money can buy. Hopefully Rock Hill's got some good pizza down there. And I'll probably just end up getting cookout, let's be honest. And then we get to watch BYU Nova. And then I'm going to be staying up till 1 a.m. talking to you and talking to everybody else on Twitter and YouTube live stream. I've been thinking about this nonstop, how excited I am for November 3rd, doing the live stream after a real game. I'm excited for Saturday next Friday.
Yeah, I think college basketball's become a little bit of a sicko sport and maybe more of a cult following, kind of like what baseball is. They're not quite to that yet. People got to be more excited about basketball and BYU basketball in particular. Football's having a great season, so I feel like basketball isn't being talked about enough because football's 6-0, big, obviously massive weekend coming up. But basketball is on another level, dude. It's going to be.
I cannot wait to get to a game in person, man. I'm so jealous you're going next Friday to the UNC game.
Yeah.
And then
I can't wait.
We'll be there. You going to be at the Wisconsin game?
I will not. No.
Oh, brutal. Anyhow. All right. Season predictions. I have BYU Final Four. You have them Elite Eight. Anything else season predictions wise? Anything you want to predict about a certain player or anything? And we can always, watch the preseason and then re-predict stuff after too.
I had this question for you, Carter, and it might be a little bit of Debbie Downer. We said a lot, but what would be a legitimate disappointment this season? What is the line where you feel like they underachieved?
Assuming everybody stays healthy. If there's catastrophic injuries and stuff, like that's different. Assuming everybody stays healthy, I mean, missing the tournament would be like disastrous stuff, program altering type things. But honestly, if second weekend, you got a successful season, second weekend, anything below that, I think is a disappointment for this team. And I know that's a tall ask of a program that's, been to the second weekend, 3-4 times in their history and whatnot. With the amount of money you're putting into this team, you have potentially the number 1 overall pick. You put up a bunch of money for a point guard. You got a returning potential All-American type guy in Richie Saunders. You've got the coach. You've got everything in place. You're the 8th best team in the country according to the preseason polls. I think they're better than that. I think they got to go to the second weekend for me to feel like it was a successful season, especially having last year. Last year was, that was over the moon. Making the tournament, I thought, was a win last year. Winning a game, successful season. And then, the fact that they went to the Sweet 16, just unbelievable season. This year, unbelievable would be Final Four. I guess unbelievable would be national title. But they got to go to the second weekend for me. Long-winded, my bad.
No, I love it. Here's my thinking. I want to agree with you because this is how good this team is. They're going to be a top 5 seed. I think maybe a good way to measure it. Like if you're under like the 5 seed line, I think that's a disappointment in and of itself, and indicative of the regular season and obviously how that went. But as the tournament goes, you just can't take anything for granted, right? Because we were just begging this team to win a game, right? Because we're like, BYU hasn't seen it forever. Then they win 2, Sweet 16. It's awesome. So it's hard to sit here and be like, nah, you got to win 2. You got to make it. You got to win 2 and go to the second weekend. But at the same time, they're that talented, and I hear everything that you're saying, because if they get bounced first round, we would be like, that sucks. This is disappointing. If they got bounced second round, we'd also be like, that sucks. They will be the higher seed in that game, right? No matter what. So, yeah, I think second weekend's the bar. I think you got to get there for us to feel like you have performed like you should. At very least, you made it to the Sweet 16. And I don't want to put like pressure because college basketball's a long season. Crazy things happen, especially in March. But as of right now, that's the bar, which was the best season ever, not 365 days ago, right? So
yeah. Well, and also my whole thing about winning 2 games is I assume this team should be a 2 or a 3 seed come March.
Yeah.
You can't lose in the first round or else then you're memed forever. And, you got CJ McCollum, Lehigh tweet, the whole thing. But if you're 2 or 3 seed, you got to go to the Sweet 16.
Yes, because like I said, you'll be the higher seed for your first 2 games. You got to win them.
Then after that, complete crapshoot. Teams get hot. You're playing against good teams. Hopefully it's the luck of the draw and everything. Also, I think we kind of glossed over the fact with my Final Four teams. I did say Purdue, BYU, Kentucky, Louisville. A BYU, Kentucky in the Final Four would be like, I think that would melt people's brains for BYU fans at least.
It's one of those things that no one would really talk about till like the weekend before, and then like all the like Sports Center spots are on Mark Pope, and then it's like everyone's like, wait, this is the story coming in, and it'll become like a massive thing.
And then a potential Louisville Kentucky matchup in the championship.
Right.
But I'd like my Final Four picks.
I like them too. I mean, it's not that brave, but
Louisville's 11. I can throw some dark horses in there if you want me to.
I mean, look, Purdue's the consensus number 1 team in the country.
Sure.
It'd pick a BYU.
But I've been out on number 1 teams in the country. I mean, Kansas was number 1 last year, right?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, I could not have been more out on Kansas last year. Purdue, they got Braden Smith. He's the best guard in the country. Best player in college basketball, probably.
No, you're right. I agree with you. I'm just giving you crap. We haven't talked about
State, watch out.
I've talked about the AP poll coming out, Carter, where we feel like BYU's at. What do we think? We like it?
Yeah, but I have a bone to pick with the AP poll, especially that one guy, the Des News voter, Jackson Payne. I got a problem with that guy.
Jackson Payne, what is he doing?
This
Where
guy,
did he get
we
this
got
info
this guy
from?
voting on the AP poll. We got this clown. I'm just kidding. Everyone's gonna be like, they got a problem with Jackson Payne? Like, what is their deal?
No. We love Jackson.
Jackson's
Payne.
gonna listen to this, be like, what the crap?
He doesn't listen to the show. He's not gonna hear it.
Someone's gonna send it to him.
Yeah.
But no, we got some representation in the AP poll now. I love it.
Yeah,
I
shout
think
out
it's
Jackson.
fair. Like being behind Michigan brings a ton back. They're going to be good. Yaxel's awesome. Elliot Cadeau coming in from Carolina. They're going to be a really good team. St. John's, I really like this year because I think they're a lot more talented than they were in previous years. UConn, we'll have a discussion on UConn eventually in that preview show. I've got some thoughts about this UConn team that I'm not prepared to release here on the Field of 68 platform quite yet. Florida, I think you have to do it with their front court returning and everything. I'm curious to see. They're relying heavily on a guy from Princeton, Xavion Lee, who was highly recruited in the portal. I think BYU even offered him as well, but they weren't heavy after him. I'm curious to see how that jump is from Ivy League to SEC. You're supposed to be a national title contender. I think that might be a tougher jump than what people think. And Houston's Houston. You have to respect Kelvin Sampson, everything he's done, even though I do think they take a bit of a step back from last season, which isn't saying much because they were one of the best teams in college basketball last year.
Yeah, there's just different backcourt for them. It'd be interesting to see how they work with.
I do think BYU is better than Duke this season, but from what Duke had last year and what they lost, 3 games in total, 3-4 games in total last season, like I get putting them above them. I don't get too riled up with AP poll stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, 8's awesome, dude. Like,
if they threw BYU at 13, I would have been like, okay, whatever. Let's just go win the games.
Right, like they'll climb that. I mean, but to have a team ranked 8th in the preseason poll as a lifelong BYU fan is just wild. It's very crazy and very exciting. KenPom wasn't as favorable to the Cougs.
I have a problem with that, though. I do have a bone to pick with KenPom.
He's got a bone to pick with all of them.
I do have a bone to pick with KenPom because I understand they have these analytical models that do stuff that I can't even read. I can't even think about because I'm too dumb to understand it. But how are you supposed to put into analytics how much a guy like AJ DeBanza is going to change a BYU team and whatnot? Like, why don't we just wait until X amount of games are played and then we have data points for KenPom? Like, it's an analytics-based model. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be predictive.
Well, that's how net works, right? They wait a month until they finally whip out.
Yeah, you should have data
stuff.
points.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know exactly how he does it. I think he heavily favors returning production. He has a coach ranking system that I think factors in. We're Miyakawa guys. We're big Miyakawa guys over here. I think he's a little bit higher on the Cougs.
Bart Torvik, I don't know. I don't understand any of this crap, Chase. I barely got through college math.
It's kind of what makes college basketball the best, though, is the fact that there's 17 different polls to look at. Half of them are done by a computer, and it's
3 random
awesome
dudes that made models that are like, this is what matters, and we're like,
just the
yes,
biggest
sir, Bart Torvik.
Basketball nerds you've ever met have decided have changed the way we talk about the sport. Honestly, shout out to them. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But and I love that KenPom's just like, I'm never updating this website. It is going to be from 19. I made it on Windows, Windows 97. We're keeping it on there.
I do. It's endearing, man. There's no sport like this sport. Ugh.
It's insane.
I can't wait.
Insane. Anything else on BYU hoops before we put a bow on it and talk a little football?
No, that's it from me.
Okay, I love it. BYU football. Utah is favored. Holy war. Utah's favored. Big noon kickoff. The Utes are favored by 3.5, I think. Games in Provo. Chase, thoughts?
Yeah, I think they're favored for good reason. You just got to look at Saturday in the way that the two teams performed. I mean, you kind of have to. Carter.
Jeff Sims at quarterback. I'm sorry.
Listen, they were always going to beat Arizona State. The way that they did it, though, I think was impressive. I think it was pretty impressive.
And especially the way Dan Pierre was able to do it on the ground, too.
Yes. And the way that BYU looked, right, and the way that they're banked up defensively, especially, It makes sense. I just understand where Vegas is coming from is more what I'm saying, because I think I'd probably put the line around there too if I was to make it myself and be objective. That being said, this is going to be like a slugfest. I think an absolute like mud war, because both these teams are behind quarterbacks who run a lot, like a ton. That's a huge staple. Bear Bachmeier had to run 14 times in this Arizona game to get the win. Like they don't do it without his legs. And Dampier's the same way. Both of them can throw, but it's just, Bears 19. Dampier isn't a refined thrower. And so it's going to be, we're going to see like a lot of blitzes. We're going to be seeing loading the box. And the other thing to think about, right, is BYU's, their weaknesses are on defense on the secondary, although they really stepped up at Arizona. And I think they really, really shut down Fafita in that fourth quarter with just insane coverage. And but the problem is they weren't getting pressure on the defensive line. And so those are the two spots that I think Utah has an advantage over. But Utah's receivers, right, their best receivers play DB. So there's not going to be a lot of opportunities, I think, for them to be cooking the corners defensively. It just comes down to the front seven for me. Utah, I think, has the advantage on both sides of the ball. Obviously, great pass rush, and they have a great offensive line. BYU is going to have a hard time generating pressure without the linebackers. That's going to put them in out of position. It's going to be interesting. And then Utah's going to do the same thing. They're going to force Bear to try and throw it. They're going to key in on LJ Martin, who's been playing like the best running back in the entire conference. And they're going to force BYU to make plays down the field. BYU has the advantage in the receiver room with guys like Chase Roberts and Parker Kingston. But I think it's going to be super low scoring, because they're just going to be daring each other, be like, you're not going to beat us with your legs. You got to throw the ball.
Yeah, and the turnovers are going to be an issue. The turnover battle, you might just need to not watch the game and just look at the turnover battle. And who wins that wins this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think BYU is going to have an absolutely massive crowd. I think it's going to be a rowdy environment. I don't think Utah's going to travel super well. They might, but
someone said that they're going to travel. 26,000 Utah fans are going to be in the building.
Oh, wow. They can't get that to basketball games. What do you mean they're going to – what? Yeah, that's not happening.
I'm kidding. That is a stupid joke. I talked about this on CarterCast. There's a reason I wore black today, Chase, and I wore this on CarterCast. If you watch both shows, you're going to see I'm wearing the same thing. I think we're seeing a funeral of Kyle Whittingham in this game, because if he loses this game, because there's a reason he came back last year, Chase.
Yep.
I really believe Kyle Whittingham is okay at hanging it up if he wins that game against BYU last season.
Yes, I 100% agree.
I don't think it happens. I think BYU actually wins this game. Caveat, if Jack Kelly's not playing, my prediction's revoked and doesn't count. Jack Kelly has to play in this one for me. I assume he is.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like he could have played the Arizona game there.
He's going to play.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm rocking with BYU in this one. I think Bear gets it done on the ground with his legs, and I think Devin Dampier goes back to a little bit of those New Mexico habits of turning the ball over a little bit, and BYU gets it done that way with their defense. And I think you're right. I think this is so low scoring. Like, race to 10 might win this game, and it's going to be ugly. And give me BYU.
Yeah, it's going to be that type of game where field goals feel like touchdowns almost, I think. I don't see a world where either team just gets to march up and down. I think player of the game here, Carter, it's got to be Jay Hill. He's got to scheme the right way to force those, like what you're saying, does Dampier turnovers and keep him contained in the pocket. It's going to take blitzes. It's good. Listen, everyone's solution to everything is just put a spy on the quarterback. Look, if football was that easy, we'd all be coaching in the NFL. All right, you can't just put a spy on the QB. It helps in a lot of situations. No one's better at it in college football, in my opinion, than Jack Kelly. He's incredible at it. You can't just sit there, and that doesn't solve all your problems. I think BYU is going to have to send 6 guys constantly at Dampier and just force him to throw it early, because I just don't think that's his game. I don't think that's Utah's strength. I don't think the receivers are getting separation, within 3 seconds of the snap. And if you do that, you're going to force errant throws. You're going to force sacks. You got to keep him contained once you get there in the backfield, right? But I think that's the blueprint for BYU in this game. I think if Jay Hill's good at anything, it's scheming for the right guys. We saw a ton of drop 8 at this Arizona game on Saturday, which I maybe want to throw up. But I think Fafita, right, and some of the receivers on the Arizona squad was the reason for that. This is different, man. You can't. There's not a single Utah receiver you're afraid of, and I just don't think Dampier's got the arm to keep up with it. So if BYU does that, I think they win. I think it's super low scoring, but I think they come away with the W. If they don't though, and they let Utah run, they're going to lose. It's as simple as that. If they let them have their way on the line and push BYU around, and BYU does try to only send 4 guys constantly, I think that's a wrap. So I think it's going to be up to Jay Hill and his scheme. It's all about the defense in this game.
Yeah, and you look at the comparable opponents. I mean, Texas Tech, I think, is better than BYU, and I think Texas Tech, we talked about it off the air, that we think they're a national title contender level good.
Dang good.
But I think the defenses aren't too far off from each other. Like, obviously, Texas Tech is better, but when you look at Dampier, when he's had to play against a tougher defense like this that has forced him to, hey, you got to throw the ball in these big spots, he struggled. And going in a crazy road environment in Provo, if this game was at Rice Eccles, I might feel different about it. I know BYU won that game last year there. I still might feel different about it if it was in Salt Lake City.
That Utah team stunk last year. So
Exactly. So
yeah, I would
give me BYU. Give me BYU. I think they win 21-17.
I'd be shocked if anyone made it to 20. I think race 20 is not happening. I think BYU wins. I think it's a wacky score. Give me BYU wins 15-13.
Ew. That's Big Ten football. This is why we subscribe to Big Ten Plus.
I know. I can't wait to see our Rutgers ladies hit the pools.
Yeah, I love
Pause.
Yeah, we might have to cut that one out. We're leaving that in there. If you made it to minute 52 of this podcast to the football segment, we're leaving that one in there.
You caught a gem. That's not what I meant, folks. You know that.
Anything else before we go?
No, other than, man, beat Utah. Go Cougs.
Beat Utah. Go Cougs. We will see you guys on Saturday live, right after BYU Nebraska basketball. Can't wait. Basketball season's here. And make sure to follow at ChurchBallPod on everything. Field of 68 Podcast Network, at Chase_Rogers, at Carter B8. Until Saturday, we'll see y'all then. Adios.